So look, to start this off, I'm not really one for big celebrations, but that being said, I did hit 20,000 subscribers last week. That was a terrible decision. Okay, welcome to the first AMA of 2019. Lots of questions coming in ever since I dropped these last two videos, both announcing that I left VaynerMedia and announcing that I am a 2019/2020 Adobe Creative Resident. Lots of questions came in and I just wanted to clear up a bunch of random things about both the residency, what I'll be doing this year, and some other random life things that came up. So to start, the question I obviously got the most is, what is the Creative Residency? A lot of people hadn't heard of it, so I'll give you guys a little bit more context on what exactly it is and what it means for me. So the Adobe Creative Residency is in its 5th year right now. Every year they pick a handful of creatives. They help these creatives with both a salary and health benefits for the year, as well as covering a lot of the costs that come along with creating whatever your dream project is. For me, the project I will be spending a lot of time on over this next year is a docuseries. I don't want to release the name quite yet, but basically I'll be spending a lot of time with other creatives and entrepreneurs and influencers, and my goal is to really pull the curtain back a little bit and show what really goes into obtaining and maintaining an online audience and presence. What sort of mental health effects come along with that, the pressure, the sacrifice, all these things we don't really talk about in the influencer space. I really want to try and shed some light on those. So that's the primary project I'll be working on for the next year, which I'm starting production on that right now. Next, I will be doing a personal vlog and a podcast element. There's going to be a lot of other films that come along, and who knows what I'll get interested in down the line. Once you have Adobe behind you, they're really open to you kind of adapting and changing throughout the year and figuring out what your passion project is. So now that we got that out of the way, I'm going to dig into Instagram, where I asked you guys to ask me questions about the residency, about life, cameras, all of those random things. I personally think AMAs can get a little bit boring and a little drawn out, so I'm going to try and go lightning round style, get you guys in here, what you need to know, and out to the rest of your day as quickly as possible. First question from Kiyo is, what is the criteria to take part in this whole Adobe Creative Residency? There isn't necessarily a setting criteria. Anyone is open to apply to it. Applications won't be open until January of next year, in which they will pick the next round of creatives, but you guys should definitely take advantage of having all this extra time and really start thinking about what your project is going to look like. So the application process, super simple. You go onto Adobe's website under the Creative Residency tab, and then there's going to be a lot of questions. You have to upload a deck or a project file. Basically, this is just explaining if Adobe chooses you to be a part of the next year's cohort, what are you going to be working on? What tools are you going to be working on? How does Adobe benefit? How do you benefit? And how is it going to set you up for success post the residency to make sure the next chapter of your career moves at full speed? The idea here is that this residency is really a career accelerator. So the thing that I think set my project apart is having a very defined plan as to how Adobe is going to be working with me, how I'll be using Adobe resources, and how it's setting me up to a year from now, whenever I'm no longer with Adobe, what I'll be doing to make my living. Next question is from BCow82, and he asks, do they pay enough to live comfortably for the year? So everyone is compensated differently throughout the year. Adobe takes into account where you live, what your experience is like, how much sort of travel and other expenses will come into play throughout your year. They are absolutely setting me up for a year so I don't have to deal with taking on freelance projects or anything like that, which is great because I get to pour completely into my passion over this next year and just create exactly what I want without the financial burden. So next question comes from Carval, and he asked, do I have to give any kind of reports during the process to Adobe? Carval, so yes, there are residency managers kind of placed throughout the world to manage those particular residents wherever they're based. So for instance, there's 9 residents this year. 4 of us are based in the US. 3 are based in Europe, both in UK and Germany, and then there's 2 other residents based in Japan this year. All of us have to have a weekly phone call with those managers, making sure we're staying on track with all the timelines we're setting up, any advice, things like that. Adobe also does a really cool mentorship program, so I will have a mentor that I talk to every week to make sure that if there's any questions or walls that I happen to hit throughout the residency, there's someone there to help guide me through that process and learn from sort of mistakes and growing pains. all these questions kind of fall in the same line, right? It's how much are they paying me, sort of what does the actual job look like, compensation rules. The cool thing is that you are essentially an employee of Adobe for the year. They cover cost of living and things like that. And then your job is to create and use this year to go as far as you possibly can. This will be our last question for now, but if you guys dig this format and want to have more questions, feel free to drop questions in the comments on this episode, and maybe I'll make a new one in a couple weeks if I get a lot of feedback. But this last question that we'll close it out on from Lou is, what is your biggest fear right now? And Lou, that's a heavy one. My biggest fear right now is that I actually have to do the thing I've thought I was able to do for the last few years. It's super easy whenever you're comfortable in a job to talk a whole bunch about how you can go out and you can create kind of your own following and your own destiny. And now I'm faced with the challenge of actually building the thing I want to build. So now I'm at this weird place where I'm sort of standing and I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, cool, do you have what it takes? Are your ideas actually worthwhile? Are people gonna wanna watch the videos you make whenever it's not a catchy headline? And that's sort of the internal battle I'm dealing with right now. So that is the biggest fear, but the only way to get through that fear is to try my hardest over this next year to make as many videos as I possibly can, collaborate, and learn from all the amazing other creators in the world. And hopefully a year from now, I'll look back and laugh that I was even scared of that. But one way or another, that's what's on my mind at this exact moment. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me on this first Ask Me Anything. I cannot believe we've already hit a 20K milestone. That's insane. Really, really, really big stuff on the way, and I'm so excited to show you guys. I can barely stand still. But I love you. Have a great week, and I'll see you soon.